So I want to talk to you all today about honey. And it's really interesting because we've talked a lot on my channel about sweeteners, right? Like we've talked about monk fruit and stevia, especially when it relates to being a better sugar burner with your metabolism and getting into the fat burning state as quickly as possible. But what is interesting is honey kind of, even though it's a sweetener, there's some really cool qualities to it that you want to know about and may make you change your mind if you've kept it out of your diet. So in this video, I want to show you what happens to your body if you ate honey every day for 30 days, because there's some pretty cool miracles that would happen. So let's dive in. First, here's what I want to think about is there's something called the glycemic index. And what we know is that every sweetener has a different measurement along this glycemic index. So like table sugar has a glycemic index well over 100. Stevia has a glycemic index of 0. But then as we start to move up the line, like monk fruit has a glycemic index around 5, coconut sugar has a glycemic index around 17 and 15, something like that, and honey is a glycemic index of around 20. So it's not table sugar, right? But it's not stevia. So it is, when you eat it, it will pull you out of a fasted state and put you into the sugar burner system. So we would eat it in our eating window. And what is really interesting when I dove into the research on this is that a 2017 review on honey by the National Institute of Health described it as having a phytochemical, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and antioxidant properties. And that there's actually a therapeutic role for honey in the prevention of disease. How cool is that? So there are 3 things that honey will do for your body. First, it slows down aging. It has an anti-aging component to it. When I looked at that, I was like, well, oh my God, how could something so yummy? I personally love honey. Something so yummy, slow aging down. But when you break down the phytonutrients within honey, they fall into 2 categories. They are high in polyphenols and they're high in flavonoid. Now, polyphenols I spoke about in Fast Like a Girl. Polyphenols are important for repairing the microbiome. Polyphenols also support mitochondrial health and help with oxidative stress that happens within the cell. Okay, what does all that mean? So within our cells, we have little powerhouses called mitochondria. They're like the batteries of the cell. They're also the detoxifiers of the cell. So they're the things that push the toxins out. And so when we're exposed to a lot of oxidative stress or damage that comes from a lot of the chemicals and toxins in our environment that flood that cell, it starts to shut down mitochondrial production. And the mitochondria stop being able to detoxify, and they stop being able to give you energy. Well, when you add in a polyphenol-rich food like honey, you are supporting and powering up that mitochondria so it can do the job that it's supposed to do. So it's really interesting because there was a 2021 study that found that eating more polyphenols like honey not only improved mitochondrial function, but that actually helped your cells make more energy and decreased age-related cellular dysfunction. So one of the things that we know is as we age, we have this mindset of like, oh, I'm wearing down, I'm slowing down. And yes, there is a natural slowdown process, but your energy doesn't have to be depleted if you keep your eye on that mitochondria and you increase your polyphenols. And honey is an incredible polyphenol and ability to do that. We also know this flavonoid part of honey is really important in not only delaying aging, but can actually prolong your lifespan. According to a 2022 study that found that the more flavonoid-rich diet, the slower the aging process and the more prolonged your lifespan. So when I look at studies like that, I'm like, we gotta grab as many of these incredible products that nature is making and the wonderful bees that are out there making this honey. And how can we use it for an anti-aging tool? And I'll tell you, there's a really interesting way. Stay all the way to the end of the video because there's an interesting way to use it within your fasting window and to help with sleep and to be able to help you even get over into ketosis a little bit better. Okay, second thing about honey. This is really cool. And I didn't know this until I dove into the research on honey for you all. And that is that honey is actually surprisingly nutrient dense. So you can actually think of honey as being as powerful as a multivitamin. Within a tablespoon of honey, here are all the vitamins and minerals that are in there. Calcium, magnesium, manganese, niacin, pantothenic acid, phosphorus, potassium, riboflavin, and zinc. All of that within honey. So a little tiny bit of honey might not spike your blood sugar too high and can provide you all of those nutrients. Okay, I got to interrupt this video because I have a free guide for you so you can master fasting. It's called A Beginner's Guide to a Fasting Lifestyle, and all you've got to do is click here and you can jump right in. Third thing about honey to know is because it's rich in polyphenols, it's incredible for your gut and gut health. Now, if you're new to understanding the gut, what I want you to think about is that there's this whole ecosystem in your gut of good bacteria and bad bacteria. And the name of the game of good gut health is keep the good, feed the good, and kill the bad. So when we fast, what we're doing is we're killing the bad and we're changing that internal environment of your gut. Now, when we go back into food, we need to make sure that we feed those good bacteria so they can proliferate. And those good bacteria are doing things like making you serotonin and breaking down estrogen so estrogen gets used and supporting a healthy immune system. So we want to feed these bacteria, and honey is one of those things that can do it really well. So a 2021 study found that honey is especially good at not only feeding good bacteria, but it can kill a bad bacteria known as Candida. It's actually a fungus. So if you're dealing with sugar cravings, alcohol cravings, if when you fast you get rashes, or I've taught a lot of you when you fast to look at your tongue, what color is your tongue? If it's really white, you know you have a lot of Candida. What we know is if we integrate honey into your diet in your eating window, then you are not only killing that fungus called Candida, but you're also feeding the good bacteria. And a funny little component of honey is that it has a propolis in it. Propolis is like a resin-like material that is made from bees and is stored in the honey. And what's really cool about propolis is it has this antibacterial piece to it. It's also a prebiotic. So it feeds really good bacteria in your gut. It's like one of those things that is it does both. It kills the bad and feeds the good, which is a really cool way to approach a food. So let's not fear honey. Now, where would you use it? Remember, what I'm trying to teach you all here is how to metabolically switch. Recently, I've been going into more food because I want you to learn how to prime the sugar burner system so that when you go into these fasted states, you're really getting a deeper healing experience. And I know a lot of us have sweet tooths, and it's really hard to undo that sweet tooth. So step number one I want to encourage you to do is, could you just for 30 days, could you not eat any sugar, and wherever you would use sugar, you replace it with honey? Let's just try that as step number one, because now we're bringing some healing. Sugar doesn't have any healing. Now we're bringing anti-aging, we're bringing gut health, and we're giving you some nutrients. So that would be the first place we can use honey. Okay, second thing, a lot of you are waking up at 2 and 3 in the morning, especially as you're learning to fast. And there's a lot of reasons why you would wake up at this time of the day, but one of the biggest reasons is because those of you who have been eating low carb, your blood sugar dropped enough that somewhere around the 2 to 3 o'clock hour, your body releases stored sugar and cortisol spikes because your body goes into this state of like, hey, no nutrients are coming in, no blood sugar's raising. We need to get the liver to perform something called gluconeogenesis, where it breaks down glucose and releases stored sugar into the system. That can be very annoying, especially to the perimenopausal women out there that are fighting for every hour of sleep possible. So a really cool trick is before you go to bed, have a teaspoon of honey. You can put it in tea, you can put it straight into your mouth. That will keep your blood sugar stable and will avoid this 2 to 3 o'clock moment where all of a sudden the liver feels like it needs to tap into gluconeogenesis, and will keep you sleeping well through the night while feeding and supporting your good gut health. So it's a really cool hack, and I think that one of the things that I think is really interesting is that we've really dismissed sweeteners. And I'm here to tell you that I love fasting. I love keeping my blood sugar low. But I'm also a fan of using food for healing. And when we look at using food for healing, we can't leave honey out of the equation because it has so many incredible benefits. And I think many of you have often heard this, that it can even support allergies, because especially if you get local honey. So always look for raw honey is important, because it hasn't been pasteurized, and so all the nutrients haven't been killed. So you want it to be raw, but if you could get it local, those bees have pulled the pollen from your local areas, and when you are eating that honey, it is supporting a healthy immune system. So there was like, when I looked to chat with you all on this video, there's just too many good things about honey that I couldn't leave this out of the equation. We have to bring honey back in small amount. Lots of honey, of course, is going to do a constant spike of the blood sugar, but in small amounts, it has these healing capacity. Let me know if that's helpful. Let me know if you want to know more on sweeteners. And if honey's done something wonderful for you, of course, I always want to hear that story. So, as always, I hope that helps. Okay, you trying to maximize your weight loss? Apple cider vinegar may be the key. Go check out this video where I show you exactly when, how, and why you want to use it for weight loss. Apple cider vinegar changes your microbiome of your gut. This good bacteria is going to help to bring your blood sugar down and make it so that you can switch over into the fat burning state.